At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to pay my respects to Diane Elder. Um, I'm gonna miss my cousin, um, and respects to my uncle. He's going through a lot right now. Thank you.
It's a bright end of summer day at 1:50 p.m. A 24-year-old young man is outside, trying to make some money by selling weed and crack. Two guys, acquaintances, approach him and quickly shake, hands in greeting. They all share a blunt in friendship before two of them leave, while the third continues, hustling to provide for himself. After 40 minutes, the two guys return in an angered state. They complain about being threatened, assaulted and robbed. They rant angrily, discussing the idea of getting a gun. I understood that they came to me because they knew I already had one, but since I didn't give mine up, promises were made to return, and for me to go with them. I complied and the two left, only to return about 6 hours later. We arrived at the house of the accused, but something felt off. Talks of betrayal and setups filled the air. As I sat and listened, I realized that this was the accused middleman. The accused denied all accusations, but as the conversation intensified, I noticed one of the people I came with start quickly, pulling out his pistol. He pointed it at the man and then quickly turned the gun towards the bed, a move meant to frighten the man into speaking. The man jumped every time the gun was quickly pointed at his chest. This torturous game continued for 8 rounds, becoming more and more intense. I remember by the 3rd round, the voice became lustful, dripping like salivation from the lips. The 7th round was particularly unsettling, as the conversation turned bloodlust and vengeful. But it was the 8th round that turned disastrous. The sound became mute, and all I remember is the bang, the flash, as the point-blank blast took its toll. A few moments passed.
Welcome to the Gag-Order. My name is Allee Major, and I'm here with my fabulous co-hosts, Majin and Kia. Tonight, we are thrilled to have you with us, and we're diving into 2 critical topics: campus speech regulations and artistic expression and free speech. At the Gag-Order, we encourage free expression and open discussion about the challenges we face in society. So let's get started. First, let's investigate how universities deal with free speech, including protest, speaker disinvitations, and safe spaces. Are they generally protecting the students, or are they limiting expression? How does education help students have open conversations to generate new ideas, Meijing?
Well, I think that's changed greatly over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that at this point, as we spoke about in our last show, we've come to this point in time where everybody's offended by everything, and that everyone is expected to be responsible for everyone else's emotional well-being. And so when you start to have to monitor yourself in that way and wonder if everything that you say or do is going to be taken in a correct tone or manner or used against you at some later point in time, it limits you in a lot of ways. Fear of rejection by society, fear of persecution. Our last election was a perfect example of that. If you even said you liked Trump a little bit, everybody was ready to burn down your houses, but then they're preaching that they're the ones who are so empathetic and who want everybody to be free. So again, it kind of puts people in a weird position if they don't want to be completely subjugated. So I do feel like it inhibits free expression and free speech because you have to wonder what the ramifications are going to be for what you say and do.
Okay.
And
Okay.
again, I think
I
some
can see
things are
that.
flat out.
I can see
You
that.
know, and again, I don't think you should be hateful.
Okay. What'd you
I don't
say?
think anybody should be hateful. But
Okay.
I said, I don't
Yeah.
think, again, it can be hateful, but I don't think anyone should be intentionally hateful.
Okay, true.
So
Absolutely. We
unless
haven't gotten
it's
to that part yet.
violent or
I just asked you how education helps students. How does education help students to have open conversations and generate new ideas? And I
I don't
believe
think
that
it does anymore.
excuse me?
I don't think it does anymore.
I couldn't hear
I
you,
said I
but
don't think it does anymore.
oh, okay, all right.
A
Well,
very closed.
I think education opens people's minds to new dialogue and new words, and those new words leave them to be able to formulate new sentences and new conversation. I believe then I'm a stone believer in education. I believe the smarter a person is, the more vocal and the more words that they have to add to their conversation without saying fuck, damn, or shit. All right, I believe it takes the messiness out of somebody's words, and I believe that those words matter. So I believe education does open up conversation, because an idiot
If
if they
that's what it's for.
huh
Because here, and I mean, and again, I agree if that's what it's being used for. But the problem is, we have a lot of other things going on in our education system right now. For example, where I live in Enfield, they gave 11 and 12-year-olds something called the consent pizza, and it was all based in what you would allow to be done to you sexually.
what what
There's another thing.
what
Yeah, it can go on. It was a big, huge thing in our school district. So what it was it was a picture of a pizza pie, and then on the left hand side it was things that you would consent to, and it was like oral, anal, kissing, and you were supposed to build your consent pizza, and it was supposed to
wow
be a health or whatever related thing.
wow That's
So
all I gotta say is wow.
again, okay, and so this is why I'm saying how's education being used?
Yeah,
Even
but
if
I'm not speaking about that's more that I don't call education. People find out about their bodies throughout life. And you do educate, you do find out. It all equals education, but for it to be inside of uh um for it to open somebody's mind in pure dialogue to know how you would be touched or want to be touched, that has nothing to do with the basis of conversation.
right, but this is what I'm saying to you. So I think that it's tricky to say is education opening dialogue because it is, but some of the dialogues are not what I would consider dialogues that I want my children to be having. So
Okay.
again, it becomes a slippery slope because you have to ask yourself, what is being taught? How is it
Okay.
being taught?
Okay.
There's a school in Ludlow where they're letting kids use litter boxes.
Okay.
Like, I don't really think that should be part of an educational system. I don't feel there's any education basis there,
Okay. Okay.
and so there's it's just different things. And so again, I feel as though if it's used correctly, like you said, if we're learning math, English, language, art, if we're learning those things, then yes. If it
Okay.
is making us a more well rounded, smarter, intellectually appropriate individual, yes.
Okay.
If
So
it's,
I have another question for
you
you
know,
that deals with education. Are universities protecting students, or are they limiting free expression? That goes right along the course with learning, education, and expression, conversation, open dialogue. Our universities, our schools, our main schools, our collegiate level schools. I remember hearing stories about how, noblemen, or people who used to do theory used to get together in groups and talk in open conversation about what's right and what's wrong, and nobody had a group think discussion. They actually had a discussion that was challenging, and the other person challenged somebody else's theory. Do you think they still do those?
Um, I mean, yeah, I think it depends on the class you're in, right?
Okay, 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 but okay.
I think that
I think I'm misstating this on a Okay, every college has guidelines, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in and just start infoing people with what's going on. Arguments for protecting the rights of students and limiting what we can and can't say in comfortability without the backlash is what I'm talking about. Used to be where people used to go to college campuses and be able to protest or say whatever they felt. But now, it may have been challenged to see if it was right or wrong, but now it seems to be nose turn or people's noses get turned up as if they're better than the question, or it's too demeaning of a question. So the arguments for universities in protecting students are safe spaces. They do give safe spaces. Many universities create safe spaces. I gave a couple examples in here, and surveys indicate that a significant percentage of students feel safer and more comfortable sharing ideas in supportive environments. And colleges, for one, give those supportive environments. And I also have federal laws that protect students in sexual-based discrimination, and other federal laws, but the one that I pulled up right here, the case relevance is Doe versus Taylor, and that was a big case in 2014. I chose to pick both sides of this argument because freedom of speech is a very vast. It's a very vast topic. So I wanted to give people the positives and the negatives coming from it, and let people choose and decide for themselves after seeing what is actually going on. What they think. May. Hello?
well, I
Can you
think
hear
this
me?
goes back to, yeah, no. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So I think it goes back to what we were saying the last time, is that when you have to base everything off of someone's feelings, it becomes a tricky thing.
Oh.
You should not have to, people are supposed to be able to control and maintain their own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be looking to other people to not trigger. It's like the whole triggering thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not my responsibility to not trigger you. It's
Okay.
your responsibility to not put yourself in a situation to be triggered.
Hmm.
Do you understand?
I understand
Anything
exactly
to
what you're
do with
saying.
control,
I
right?
understand
So
exactly what you're saying.
everything to do with control. So everything to do with control is an illusion. The only thing we can control is how we react in any given situation.
Absolutely.
So for you to expect others to be responsible for your reactions in a given situation is ludicrous. And what it does is, instead of creating safe spaces, it does two things. One, it sets people up to further not be able to deal with their own emotions, right? And two, you're justifying the fact that someone has enough emotional control over you to actually
Set you off.
be
Yeah.
in control of your
Yeah.
emotions.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's the direct opposite of what anger management or any of those fundamental things teach you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it actually, what it does is it puts people in a more emotionally vulnerable state, because instead of saying to them, all right, well, this person said something like, let's say you tell me I'm fat, right? And for some reason, that's incredibly triggering to me. And so then I have to go to this safe space because I can't handle the fact that you said I'm fat and now I'm having anxiety and I'm depressed and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going there, I'm going to have people that will give me emotional support, but if they're not also offering me ways to not be affected by you in that way, then they're not really helping me. Because the emotional support is just putting a band-aid where you need stitches. And these are my problems. We're not teaching people how to deal with themselves and their emotions. and how to function in society. We are essentially telling people that other people are responsible for what we think and feel, and that's crazy. Well, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I agree in a lot of aspects of what you're saying. That is
Okay.
uh, that is limiting somebody's freedom of speech or the right to speak as they see for the need for the moment is kind of hindering what we can talk about and where the conversation can go. I agree with you that people's emotions or people allow their emotions to curb a conversation. They can't handle the conversation, so now their first reaction is to get mad or to just uh, scream obscenities. And I understand exactly what you mean. I think it does limit and hinder us as a country. And plus, I think that people need to get over this so-called difference that they have in this country. And the only way we're going to do that is by getting through the bullshit anyway. So I think that we're going to have to, at one point in time, in order to crash this great divide, is to talk in an open forum and everybody get everything off their chest. But there are things that go to arguments for limiting free expression. Censorship claims critics argue that universities are often too quick to limit speech that might offend, claiming that it stifles open discourse and academic freedom, which I just spoke about that right there. And there's plenty of examples. I put a data example of 2019 survey. And if anybody needs any educational facts, they can go to Fire. There's a bunch of them there, and I believe there's a couple more. I might have a slide with them on it, but I definitely know Fire is definitely a place that you can go and find rights on education and freedom of speech. There's plenty of high-profile cases where speakers were disinvited or face protest, and I have their names up here that illustrate the tension between free expression and student safety. Once again, I put a relevant case up here from 1978, and it discusses affirmative action. These things are very touchy topics and very, very versed. And I believe that the only way to, like I said, overcome these issues is by being well educated. Not only well educated, but well vocabulary based. And I believe that right there will set you apart in any room. How do you feel about that, man?
Um, Again, I think that it becomes a slippery slope because, we've gotten into these things in the, recently where they're trying to say that, you misgendering somebody is the same as a physical attack on them.
Mm.
So
Mm.
again, I think there's a difference. Okay.
See, those are the
Affirmative action.
regulations that they're setting, though. They're setting those regulations to force you to have to believe in something that you may not, or disagree with. Those are the regulations that we're
Right,
talking
but they're
about.
also limiting, they're also controlling your speech at that point
Absolutely.
because they're telling you that things that you say or fail to say,
Mm-hmm.
have a greater weight or consequence than they truly do.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, words are just words. I mean, when we were kids, we learned sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
Yep.
And nowadays, it's if you misgender me, it's a physical attack, and you should be in jail.
Absolutely.
So I feel like this is what happens with these kind of things when we start to put. And I think I believe I said this in our last show. The problem is when you put so much weight on speech and what people are saying and the verbiage they're using and not looking at the actions or the consequences of the actions, it always becomes an issue. Because, like you said, words change all the time.
Yes.
The meaning of words change all the time, century to century. At one time, faggot meant a bundle of sticks, right? At one time, gay meant happy.
Yep.
There's all different words that at some point in time did not mean what we take them as today. You know, Years ago, if you called a woman a bitch, she would have been beside herself. At this point, we call each other bitches, like my bitches, hey bitches. So again, words change. So when you start to put such extreme thought and extreme consequence and extreme things just on words alone with no value behind them, then it becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. It's when
So
it's pure hate, and there's no point to what you're saying. There's no recourse. There's no ending to this. All you're doing is talking like a babbage about nothing really. That's when it becomes a problem to me.
right. Well, because it gives you a circular. What it does is it sets up a circular argument
Conversation. Yes.
that can never be corrected,
That's
and so
right.
then it gives these politicians and everybody else a standpoint to keep everyone angry at each other because
Mm-hmm.
they just flip the it's like a triangle, and they
Yep.
just keep turning the point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's who's going to be mad next. So it's our turn to be mad today, and then they flip the triangle, and it's the next person's turn to
Yep.
be mad, and then they flip the triangle, and it's the next person's turn to be mad.
That's right.
And that's how they keep it going, is with these circular conversations, and again, putting weight on verbiage instead of putting it on the actual actions of what people are doing. Instead of us being so worried about that, we should be worried about treating each other with respect and kindness,
Mm.
and allowing people to have the freedom of expression, to be themselves and to love themselves and
Absolutely.
to be who they want to be. And if we were allowed to do that, it would alleviate a lot of the issues and a lot of the social anxieties that people have surrounding a lot of these issues,
That's right.
because people would feel like they could be themselves and feel like they could be free, and they would have less animosity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Instead, our government uses it as a way to manipulate and control us.
That's right. You shorten the
So
masses
it's
if
really
you.
interesting.
Huh? Let me get that. Let me get that because I
Yeah,
think
so
you were going to say what I was
like,
about to say.
go ahead, you go.
Well, all I was going to do is just say real quick that if you put people in small groups, it makes them easier to conquer than it is a mass group. That's all I was going to say.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So I was going to say something along this. So, Halloween's coming up. So I don't like too scary of movies, but I definitely like to watch Halloween movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading different things on what they recommended that was on the streaming services I had. And a lot of them that were coming up were movies from the 80s. So
Okay.
I found it really interesting because as I was going through them, we talked about in the last show how the FBI and the CIA and all them have a role in Hollywood, and
Mm-hmm.
how they put out things to prepare us for what's happening or to normalize certain things, and that this is not a speculation. This has been proven as a fact. This actually occurs. They actually own a portion of whatever. So this is
Yes.
not speculation. So
Yes.
that being said, look at a lot of these horror movies from the 80s. They all have to do with subliminal messaging,
Mm-hmm.
mind control,
Mm-hmm.
all these topics of the government and or evil entities brainwashing and manipulating people, either through the TV or through aliens. You and I were talking about it, right?
Yep. We
Invasion of
were.
the Body
Yep.
Snatchers. Fluff was another one. Or not Fluff, Stuff. That's what
Yep.
it was called, Stuff. um Videodrome. Do you remember
Yeah.
Videodrome?
No, I
Night,
do not
what was
remember that one,
Night
but
something? Oh, look up Videodrome. um there was just a ton of them, and I was thinking to myself, wow, it's so crazy, but it's a real thing. And this is what they do to us. So they put all these things out, and they present them in the media the way that they want them to be presented to us.
mm,
And then once that's the case, then they utilize it in society for whatever they want to. And of course, my go to is the whole institutionalized slavery thing, because they definitely use people as a commodity in
yes,
several different ways.
forever, forever it's
And
been that
a
way.
lot of these, and a lot of these topics that we're talking about tonight are ways that they use to emotionally control and manipulate us and
Yes.
keep us fighting each other.
Yes, and that's why I bring us to how to encourage open dialogue. I have 12 different things that you guys can read because I'm gonna keep them up there while we're talking. How to encourage open dialogue, and this is with anybody. This is with everybody. This is what we need to pay more attention to. And now that I've had this up here for a while, I want them to see what else is going on here. Let me blow that up a little bit since I'm missing Kia. I'm sorry, everybody. Kia got into a little bit of traffic, and she she is not here just yet. So excuse us for that. But I will blow this up, and then you guys can see it fully. All right. So once again, I'm gonna speak a little bit on this one. Facilitating in small group discussions. Smaller groups can make it easier for individuals to express themselves. And we'll just face this. If you're inside a mass group and you're trying to say something, there's gonna be a lot of naysayers. And some people will naysay just because you are or look a certain way. And they're not gonna hear or listen to what you have to say. So the smaller the group is, not saying it has to be 2 or 3 people, but saying the smaller the group, the more you guys would have a time to have meaningful conversation. May, do you see one up here that sticks with you?
Um, I like to use the neutral language one because I feel like
Yes.
that's what I was talking about earlier. I think that you have to, in any conversation you have, use dialogue or a language pattern which gives people a few things. One, comfortability, right? Because they have
Mm-hmm.
to feel like they can express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you need to give them a platform to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you can do that is by being neutral and not being overly emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to also have facts and points to state what you're trying to relate to them. And the only way they're going to be able to understand or hear that is if you can present yourself in a neutral way where they don't feel emotionally challenged. Because once
Absolutely.
somebody becomes defensive, the conversation becomes shut down.
There's
And that's any situation.
one that I really wanted to touch up on. Let me see if it was up here first before I say it on there, because I think, okay, I like the active listening part, the part about summarizing what the person you're answering just said before you go on with what you're about to say. I really like the active listening. That right there to me is key. It shows not only that you're into the conversation and you're there and you're thinking about what is spoken about in the conversation, but it also shows that you have the ability to break the conversation down and retort uh, with a I don't want to say correct answer, but a education a educated answer. That's what I'm trying to say. Um,
Well,
uh,
it makes you feel
yes,
valid as well, right?
yes, you do
When
feel
you respond
validated.
back to them with what they just said,
That's
they feel
right.
extremely validated. They feel heard.
Absolutely.
So,
That's right. Implementing these strategies can help create a more open and engaging environment for dialogue, encouraging individuals to share their thoughts and learn from one another instead of being biased. That's a fact. So, which brings us to the relevant information I also have up here. See, I told you, man, I had a bunch of information for tonight. I wasn't trying to hold back and not give it. I'm trying to bring it and let people know that listen, what we're talking about is very relevant, and we all need to pay attention to these and know what's going on. So let me blow that back up over here and let me bring it down just a little bit. All right. So, May, do you think anything that am I touching it right? Am I bringing up the right things? Are we talking about the right things? What are we talking about?
I definitely think we are.
All right.
Because, again, I think it's that what it all comes back to in the long run is the government utilizing language to to control us in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was why they put the First Amendment in our Constitution. That was why freedom of speech was so big in America, because along with other things, if you don't have the right to revolt and you don't have the right to be heard, how can you create change?
That's right.
That's why the Second Amendment is so important, even though everybody wants to hate guns right now for whatever weird reason. If we were ever attacked on American soil, and we had war here, people would want guns. Like, you want to protect yourself. If our government ever got super crazy like they did in Brazil and we need to revolt against them, you want guns. And then people say, oh, well, the military this and the military that. Yes, but in every movie, people side with the resistance, and then in real life they don't, right? Because in Star Wars you vote for the resistance, in the Hunger Game you vote for the resistance, but then when it comes to reality, you're like, oh no, we can't fight, we got to lay down and die. I mean, that is what isn't reality, because generally people don't do that. It's very
True.
hard to victimize a large group of people
True.
forever.
That's right.
For a certain period of time, sure. But at some point, they get tired of the BS and they revolt. And again, that's why all these laws in our Constitution were put into place. That's why, like, I hate voting at this point, because our Constitution warned us against a two-party system, because it becomes a popularity contest.
They don't
really
even
don't
respect
have
the
a choice.
popular vote, though. They don't respect the popular vote. So what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I agree and I disagree with that. They have to have the electoral vote, because if not, smaller states like Rhode Island would have no say at all. It wouldn't, their vote wouldn't even matter in regards to like somewhere like Los Angeles, which is why we pick, our state representatives and different leaders. So that I don't disagree with so much. But what I do disagree with is it being a popularity contest, right? So it becomes like, so it's me and another girl. So who do you guys think is prettier?
Yeah, I don't
Right?
like the shit throwing
Or
contest.
right. Who do you think is funnier? Who do you think is, there's no real, we've lost the value of what the principle of the party is. Even to this current election, I have yet to hear anyone give me any information regarding any policy from either party.
Because they're not
Either
giving them.
party.
Hold on, they're not giving them. They're not giving them. They're not giving them.
Right, and you don't think that's by design as well?
Yes, that is by
Right?
design. They
It's
don't have
easier-
to do it anymore. They lied for so many years.
Right.
No new taxes and shit like that. So they lied for so many years. Now they're not giving you that lie. They're just holding it back. Now they're not giving it.
Well, because they have to be very careful, because the whole thing is they're not following through on anything they say at this point.
That's right. The media is catching them out there. They're catching them out there with.
So people are getting upset. People are like, well, what's happening? So what's the best way, right? It's like if you want to date me and I don't really want to date you, but I like hanging out with you and I figure it's cool till we meet somebody else, right? When you start asking me different questions, I'm going to be like, well, I'm not really ready right now, or this or this. I'm going to give you all kinds of weird, vague bullshit excuses, and that's exactly what they're doing to us. Right. That's exactly what they're doing to us. Like,
Absolutely.
It is at this point.
Absolutely.
And the sad thing is that we as a people love it.
Yeah, I brought
Everything
Jay-Z
is
up here.
media.
I brought Jay-Z up here to rap for you guys. Vote for me. Beyonce, you see her singing? Vote for me.
Yeah. Taylor Swift, whoever they want to say.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then it's even because half these musicians are not only heroin addicts, but they have like a 9th grade education level, and you're allowing
You're
them
not going to
tell
talk
you
about musicians like that. I'm one.
Right, like, I don't get it. It's unbelievable to me. And then they'll be like, oh, well, this person said this. It's like, and?
I get it. I get it. I definitely understand. But at this time right now, we're going to go to commercial break. welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, Kia, what's going on,
Hey
girl?
y'all. My bad. I got caught in traffic.
I already explained it for you. You ain't got to worry about it. Everybody know you was at the red light.
If you would have
Okay.
seen me, I swear I got like 4 tickets coming down the highway.
Oh, shit. Don't do
Oh my
that. Don't do that.
God.
Okay. So, as we get back on topic, I want to talk a little bit about artistic expression and freedom of speech. Art has always been a reflection of society, and controversial pieces often challenge us to confront uncomfortable truths. Historical examples, such as the backlash against Andre Serrano's Piss Christ, or the controversy surrounding the Mapplethorpe exhibition, illustrate the ongoing struggle between artistic expression and social norms. Do you guys, ladies, are you guys artists, or do you know any artists?
So I love art, and I think it's hysterical that you brought up Maplethorpe because I actually took my children to see Warhol and Maplethorpe when they came to um, the played the Wadsworth in Hartford,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone thought I was absolutely insane.
Okay.
And I have always exposed my children to art. I don't. I think that certain things adults assess value to that children don't recognize. And like even with the Maplethorpes, obviously there's some wild ones like where the guy has the whip up his ass and so on and so forth. And those are things that you just gently turn your child and walk away from. But there's the whole for it to be Warhol and them like they're prevalent artists. Those are
Mm-hmm.
experiences I want my children to have. And so again, I feel like people make things out of things that they don't need to be sometimes. Do you ever watch a movie as a child and then watch it again as an adult and you're like, holy crap, that's what this movie was about?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that's so not what I remember as a child. Or even a song. My daughter used to sing, songs when she was little. She didn't know what the heck they meant. And then when she got older, she was like, wow, that's what that song meant. It's like, yeah. So again, I don't know. I think that I never think art is a bad thing. I
Okay.
think that it's a conversation you have with your children. Obviously pornography is completely different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
children should not be exposed to pornography, but art and pornography are different things.
Okay. I believe that plenty of artists have drawn naked women, and I believe that they draw naked women on a steadily basis. So, the fact of whether pornography or not, I think I'm an artist myself, so I will say that I understand the challenges artists face when their work is deemed controversial or offensive. I had a teacher when I was in high school that he told my mother that I like drawing the female anatomy. But then still like seriously, some artists that's where they start, or that's where they thrive at, or that's what draws them to be artistic. So I don't want to knock their artistic statements. Just think Mona Lisa. Just think of all these paintings of women. Men have done that for years, so I don't want to take those away. Even the naked ones, I don't want to take it away.
I feel like artists always is
Me neither.
classified under beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
You said what? What'd you say, Kia?
What I said is I always feel like when it comes to artists that they always have this beauty is in the eye of the beholder theme, and that's literally the motto for artists. Like, and I like that. So I feel like they have that freedom to really express it. Like, everybody's perception of what's done isn't going to be the same. It's all about
Absolutely,
how you translate it. Like, every picture tells a
absolutely,
story.
absolutely.
And I
And
believe
May,
that's the same thing when it comes to songs and pictures
yeah,
and paintings and poems.
true. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And May, I believe that our last discussion, Kia, you missed it, but we were talking about speech regulations and campus regulations that they add in education. May, I believe that if you believe that speech should be adhered and people should watch and adhere to speech, but be able to be free in speech to get over the dislikes that we have, or the contingent, or the not the or the problems that we have within society. If you believe that that should be open, then please, art should be open also. It should be.
I do. My point was that children shouldn't be exposed to lewd
Facts.
sexual acts. That's
Facts.
what I'm
Facts.
talking
I'm not talking about
about.
drawing a sexual situation as two
Right.
people
So
having
that's
sex. No,
I
that's not
I
quite
don't
art.
consider nudity pornography.
Okay, that's
To me,
pornography.
nudity
Now that
has,
we understand that, we both are on the same page
I'm
with
saying
that.
pornography as lewd sexual acts that are being
Okay.
visualized
True. True.
for children. But other than that, I don't disagree at all. I just told you I took my kids to see Maplethorpe.
That's right.
So if you know who he is, obviously
Yes.
I can't be opposed to it.
I understand.
You
I'm not
know,
into the
and again,
hentai. I'm not into the hentai thing either. I think they call that hentai now. I'm not really into that too much
um,
either. So I get what you're saying, and and uh, art expression and life have had different have had different people organizing how they feel life should be organized. Now, mind you, the masses of people haven't had too much of a say in it, but the people of nobility have had their own ideas of how society should be ran. I think I said that right. If I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. But I think I said that correct. I believe that artistic freedom should have no bounds unless, like Majin spoke of, it's depicting actual sexual acts. That is considered a whole nother genre. That's porn. So I definitely understand. I definitely understand you on that. How do we navigate the line between artistic freedom and public sentiment? Means, or how the public feels about the artistic job that you do.
well, you
I feel
can't
like
unless it's popular opinion, right?
Okay. Okay. True. But you can navigate the line between artistic freedom and public sentiment, even though the public is okay. Let's just take today in times, as you spoke of. You said some words are considered offensive today that used to mean something completely different before, correct? Okay. So let's take that and
Yes.
let's born that to artistic freedom. And let's say just like this. Let's say that let's say that the public sentiment is saying that, oh, showing a woman nude inside a beautiful position is not art. It's not art. Um uh Actuality, the public sentiment is actually wrong. Artistic freedom says that, okay, listen, there are, like I said, there's plenty of examples that's happened through time, and those people have you guys ever seen A Starry Night? It's a painting called The Starry Night.
Yep.
It's by, okay, all right. Well,
Van Gogh.
yes, it's by Van Gogh. This painting is very contrast. It's contrasted with blue, and then it has a bunch of dots for the lights. The scene is I would say it's any overseas, like a real tourist spot with a cobblestone street and all that right there. But the actual drawing of it, like if you ask me, uh I can get a 12-year-old to draw that painting. But if you ask a scholar, they'll tell you that the colors are blended in such a delightful way, and the blue is offset by the baby blue. But then still, it's like, hold on now. I've seen that before. I'm an artist myself. Don't mind you. I love art and I love that. But truthfully, somebody can say it was drawn by a 12-year-old?
Well, I think a lot of art is like that. And it's always funny to me what people consider art, and which artists become successful, because again, what is the basis for it? So Vincent van Gogh was a very mentally ill, emotionally challenged person,
Yes.
and a lot of his paintings and drawings came from when he was in severe depressions and
Hmm.
having schizophrenic
That's why he had all the
episodes.
blues and all the depressive colors. Yes.
Yeah, and I do respect. So I think from what you're saying, Ali, I think what becomes the controversy is for the period of time that it was created. It wasn't. Maybe those blues weren't available, or maybe, um, there's something else that goes along with it
Okay. Okay.
that makes it relevant to the time period. Like
Okay.
Klimt, he's one of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Klimt
Yes.
is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so but it's really like it's mosaic art, like you said,
Yes.
like
It's
kids do it at the
contrasted.
park.
Yes.
So what made it beautiful and perfect? Is it the story? Is it his life? Or is it the time period and what that artwork meant for that time period?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I find that to be an interesting concept because even in music today, like I'm sure everybody knows who Lizzo is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when Truth Hurts blew up, she did an interview and she was like, she couldn't believe it because the song was like 7 years old or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't quote me on that, but it was an old song.
Okay.
And she was like, I've been doing that song for years, and then all of a sudden, like, it's number one hit, and
Yep.
everyone's singing it, and I'm famous.
Mm-hmm.
So what changed? What changed? But the place we were at in society.
Okay.
And so this is what happens with
Okay.
art, and that's what makes art relevant or not relevant.
Okay.
Is the time period, the available resources, and the actual story behind the art, I feel.
Okay. I think the story behind the art means nothing. I think the art speaks for itself, and I think that the artist is relevant by himself without the story. I didn't need to know Van Gogh was suffering through depression and at the tavern that he always was at and drunk all the time, and the people treated him like, I didn't need to know that backstory. I didn't need to know truly that backstory. That it may add relevance to somebody who wants to know about Van Gogh, but for real, all of us have hardships and stories of depression and hardship. And it doesn't mean that it makes it any more relevant because it comes from a guy named Van Gogh. I mean, I think Major's story is just as relevant. I think Kia's story is just as relevant inside society. I think there's no separation between the two.
Well, I think that if I produce art and you want to better understand my art, that it does.
Ah,
Because you could look
ah,
at something I and not really understand it, but then if you have more of a backstory and that gives it more of a basis, you understand better.
okay, check this out, May.
Is what gives us information is what gives us understanding. So I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between um stories and
Okay,
like actual information. So like you said, do I need to know that he spent 3 months in, Israel when he was 2.5 years old? No.
okay.
But when you're talking about like his use of the color blue,
Mm-hmm.
or those kind of things, to increase the
Wasn't he
relevance
colorblind?
of what
Wasn't he
what his
colorblind?
emotions were. Oh, he could have been. I don't
Yeah, I think
remember
he was
that part.
colorblind or something like that. I think that was one of the specialist things I heard about his story was that he was technically colorblind, um, but he
Yeah.
used color in such an amazing way because how can a person who's colorblind see it? But if you really think of doctors and things today, they have percentages on blindness, they have percentages on colorblind. So, that's why I don't take relevance in the story. They tell me something and I'm like, okay, you know, but now I know that medical science has taken me a little further now. Now I know that he actually could have seen color. He may have not been 100% colorblind Because if you think about it, how can a person who's 100% colorblind mix green, blue, um, brown, as I've seen before in his paintings? Like seriously, that's hard to decipher.
My sister's colorblind and she's a color specialist for hair.
Really, and
So
she can and
what
she and
happens
she can
is it's
dictate
like
what color is
everything
color.
else
That's
because
special.
she knows what it is to her. She knows what it is to her. So when you're colorblind, it's the way you see the tone of the color. So as long as you can
But
relate
you
it
only
to
see
your
in
own
brown. You
self,
only see in black and white.
it's just not the way they are. No, that's not true. They see shades of gray. Colorblind is not just
Okay.
black and white. Everything is shades.
Okay.
Like it's
Okay.
tones, it's
Okay.
shades. But there's
Okay.
not the hues that we're seeing.
So you're saying the blue is a different shade than the brown and gray. Gray would be I don't know which one would be dark.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
I can
and
kind
not
of
everybody
just.
is color.
Okay.
Not everybody's colorblind to every color. Some
Okay.
people can't see red, and I think some people can't see blue. So it depends too what your color blindness is. Like you said, it's such a huge spectrum to pin that down as a.
I
You'd have to
wasn't
have a
there. I
lot of
don't know him,
information
so
on
I
that.
don't know
But
exactly. But I do know that people who colorblind, they may see in shades of gray. You're right, and they may see in total black and white. I get it, but the separation is where I fall off. Like the separate. How do they? How would a blue that turns into green with yellow? How can they differentiate that shade? I mean, that's the.
well, but they said that's what made him an incredible
I
artist,
get
right?
it. I get it. I get it. But like I said, medical science has been a long way. But regardless to that, I don't mean to talk bad about them people. Mozart, Van Gogh, all of them were brilliant, brilliant people, and I researched them. I went to college, and I'm very, they made me take tests on them people. It was fucking crazy, but it's facts. They were very prevalent in making art what it is today, and without them, we wouldn't be where we're at today with art. And I appreciate them for their contributions to society. Anyways, let's get back on what I had up here. The survey is 70% of Americans believe in protecting artistic expression. A significant number still feel uncomfortable with art and that challenges societal values. And May, you touched on a couple of those. Kia, let me know where you stand at. Do you believe in pure freedom of artistic expression, or do you think they should hold back on some things? What do you think?
Um, I feel like if they're gonna hold back on some things, like the same way they rate the movies, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they should be able to rate they artistic ability. So
Okay.
like if you're gonna make a painting and it's gonna be an X-rated type of painting, or it can be classified as an X-rated, then it should be classified.
Yeah, it goes in that genre. It goes in that
Yeah,
genre.
you
So
know what I mean.
people who's looking for that can find that genre.
Yeah, like
I
you know what
agree.
I mean. I feel like it's nothing
Right.
wrong with it. I still feel as though everybody should have the freedom to express what they want to express, how they want to do it.
That's right.
Like just like you said, Ali, I don't need the backstory because all the backstory do is give me a whole bunch of different ideas in order for me to put a whole bunch of different scenarios together as to how the painting was created and what the painting is really saying to me.
And
That's just
nobody's
like
ever
also,
gonna have the same.
look,
Nobody's ever gonna have the same uh, perception of how or why he
exactly.
did
And
that.
regardless of the backstory being given, the backstory can be given the same exact way 100 times,
Hmm.
and only three of them people might see a couple differences or a couple
Okay.
similarities in that reasoning. You get
Okay.
what I'm saying?
I
That's
get
just
it.
like all of these years I've been wearing polo. I ain't never know that there was two men. Like, and I'm not even
Are you
gonna lie,
kidding
like
me?
it literally came down to me having on a damn polo robe the other day, and somebody said something to me like, "Oh, that's fire." That's two dudes riding a horse, right? Like, and I'm like, wait, what? So like I'm listening to the story, and the whole time I'm like, I never would have realized that. They
Yep.
like, see, females can get away with that shit. Niggas can't get away with that shit. And
They're
I'm just sitting
playing
there like,
lacrosse.
yo, I never thought about, like, I never paid it any like actual detail,
Got you.
any mind for real. Like, I never thought about it, no nothing. But like ever since it was said to me, now every time I go to one, put that robe on, I just keep on staring at it, like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Like, cause I never could see, I could not see that until it was pointed out to me. So, like I said, everybody's perception of everything ain't gonna be the same.
That's right. May, can I get your last I want to ask you the same thing, your last standpoint on art. Do you think that it should be full expression or should they hold back?
I'm 100% about freedom at all times. You know
Thank you.
that.
Thank you very
So
much.
I
I
don't
appreciate that.
believe that people should have to hold back.
Thank you.
And I agree that you can label content so that people can discern whether or not they choose to fuck with it, right? For
Hmm.
lack of a better term.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, when the day ends, people should be given the right to choose and to express themselves.
Absolutely.
And that's what creates anxiety in people, is when they feel as though everything that they're doing is being judged negatively, or that they can't be accepted or won't be accepted.
Hmm.
I'm a big proponent of people being free to be themselves. And I think that what got lost in our society is us teaching people that before I'm sure I brought this up before because it's like one
Hmm.
of my favorite things in the whole world. And as terrible as it sounds, because we all know the Mormons are not the most fantastic people in the whole world, but in the 80s or 90s, whatever it was, they put out this commercial, and it was I think it was called Baby Julie's Song. And basically what it was a mother that had just given birth, and she's looking through the glass at her baby. And that's how the song starts. It's like looking through the glass, just born a baby. And
Hmm.
so as the commercial goes on, it shows this little girl's whole life, from her riding a tricycle to going to, her first school to graduating. And then at the end of the thing, when the song ends, it goes back to the mother in the nursery. And the narrator comes on and it says, as you teach her to love the world, teach her to love herself.
That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
felt like that was the most powerful message
I like it.
I have
Love it.
ever seen or heard or had in something.
Love it.
And it's I've carried it through to this day, and I feel that that's what we're missing.
Yes.
You can love yourself. It doesn't matter. You don't have to. It doesn't matter if you are feminine, masculine, if you want long hair, short
That's
hair,
right.
if you wear makeup, if you don't wear makeup.
That's right. You
You
should love
have to
yourself.
love yourself.
Big fact. Big
And if
fact.
our society was more open to people truly loving and accepting themselves, we wouldn't have a lot of these other issues.
Mm.
But May, I think that comes into play with what they show on TV. Everything that they like. All right, take
Yes.
America's Next
Yep.
Top Model for example. All models had to be skinny. They had to look a certain type of way. That's what they're broadcasting 24/7. Like, this is the look. Like, this is what you got to look like in order to. I blame TV. I blame the radio. I blame. Listen, all of that's what I blame. I blame the TV people. Everything that's broadcasted, the ins and the outs, like what's supposed to be in style, what's not. Like,
Mm.
you can't listen. I don't care how
Well, because
old Apple Bottom or anything ever get. The better not nobody say nothing to me about my Apple Bottom jeans. Period. I
because
don't
but
care.
that's
Like,
that's the whole. So they are brainwashing us through the media, and we, I agree 100%, and I feel that they specifically create content to brainwash and or manipulate us into thinking and or acting and or feeling certain ways.
Yes.
And that's the problem, because instead of saying to people, none of this really matters, just be happy, get up, go to work, and do your thing, do things that make you happy. That's not what they're doing. They tell you, oh, you have to look like this, or you have to do this, or because what they're doing is forcing us to be more of a commodity,
Mm.
right? Because
Mm.
even with the look now, so now you have to get Botox, and you have to get lip fillers, and you have to go get your hair done, and you have to get your nails done, and you need a 360 body lift, and you're going to get butt implants, and it just goes on and on and on, you know.
Got you.
And so at that point, it's all us paying for those services. And when you're paying for those services, it creates jobs in America, and it definitely moves it toward them and us being consumers and property, because they're feeding off of us.
Before we go any further, I
And
would
that's
like to mention, May, I would like to mention what you're talking about. What you're talking about is a groupthink mentality where they train everybody to think the same way. So it creates a division between originality or creative thought towards change or embetterment. Now it's upon one thought, and everybody joins in on that one thought and agrees with it, and they go with it. Nobody challenges it. Nobody tries to ask differently or see if there's a different outcome or if it's the right outcome. They just go with it because that's the popular vote. And that's what you're speaking about right now. Am I wrong?
No, but
All right.
above and beyond that, even more so, our government and our society utilizes that mentality and that behavior in us to make us commodities.
Yes.
We took all of the industry out of America.
Mm-hmm.
People can't work in factories anymore. We're not producing anything. So when you
Yes.
don't produce something, there still has to be a way to maintain the economy. And so what they've done is they've made us the
people.
commodity.
Yeah, use the people.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's like Soylent, right? It's Soylent Green,
Absolutely.
baby. We're Soylent Green. So we have become the commodity. We're getting lip fillers. We're in social services.
Yep.
We are doctors. We are social workers. We are DCF workers. What else do we have? Outside of that, we only have construction workers or, actors, actresses.
Prison guards.
Everything.
Prison guards.
Right. So everything is, again, very much controlled by our government.
Yes.
And very much depends on public perception.
Yes.
So it makes us a community.
Absolutely. And then you have things like Amazon and things like that making people not want to own businesses because they're taking over everything and shutting businesses down, actually. Yeah. Let's do this. Okay, ladies. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see if your family were a reality TV show, what would be the title? And who would be the most dramatic character? This is coming from family and friends. If your family were a reality TV show, what would be the title? And who would be the most dramatic character? May, you got a smile on your face. Can I get it first?
Oh my God. Well, the most dramatic character obviously is my mother. But I don't know. We'd have to call it like Aya's World or something because it would have to revolve completely around her. That's for sure.
Okay.
My
okay.
mother's a Libra. The drama level is here.
Watch your mouth, May.
On her birthday. She
Watch your mouth, May.
No, listen, I love my mother to death.
Don't talk about us Libras now.
Birthday, she sent me the picture of herself that she wanted posted for the day and was like, this is the picture I want you to post of me. She's definitely a Libra through and through, so.
Okay.
She's all about it.
What was the name of the show again, May? What was the name of the show again?
Aya's World.
Aya's World. Okay. Oh, Kia, are you ready or you want me to go first? What you want?
We call her Aya.
You can go first. I got to think about that one.
All right. If my family were a reality TV show, that would be some crazy shit. But I think we would be like the Uncomforters or some crazy ass name. And the most dramatic character, I'm gonna go opposite of you, May, and I'm not gonna throw my mother under the bus. What I'm gonna say, the most dramatic character is probably my sister. What up, Brett? Hey, Brett. Oh no!
These comments. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay, Kia. What's going on? Talk to me.
So I'm gonna have to say, if we was a reality show, it would just have to be called Unpredictable, because you never know what the hell you gonna get. And you can't pick the most dramatic character because, like I said, you never know who the hell gonna be that dramatic character for the day, for the hour, for that 5 minutes of the conversation. Like it 1 minute it could be me, the next thing you know it could be my grandmother being dramatic. Next thing you know it could be my then you can hear the baby in the background yelling and screaming, acting all dramatic over something crazy. Like, I don't even know. But unpredictable is what I would entitle that.
Okay, got you. That's dope. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the question. Thank you for the friends and family question.
I'm gonna have Jamie Foxx.
Can you hear me now? There you go. You can hear me
Not
now.
him.
All right, that's a bet. Before we go to sound off, I want to pay respects to my cousin one more time. I'd like to say rest in peace, Diane Elder. Unc, I'm sorry. Sorry, Unc. You got my condolences. Uh, but at this time, we'll go ahead to sound. Ladies, time to sound off for the night. Y'all know what time it is during this right now. It's the time that anything you forgot, anything you want to talk about, anything you got to say, sound that shit off. So let's start with Kia since I started with May last time.
Okay, so outside of me getting a whole bunch of speeding tickets probably today, I all right, so like I don't know. I was fine when I got on the road. Then I had this serious spurge of fucking road rage. Like I don't know what happened. The traffic wasn't going nowhere. Traffic wasn't going nowhere fast enough. Then when it did start moving, you had that one car that just kept on driving super slow. So when it got to a steady pace, like then they just kept on driving slow. So I'm like, bro, I don't know what happened, but the road rage kicked in like boom. I swear I probably got at least 4 tickets because I'm pretty sure I hit a good 75, 80 coming down the highway. And I was getting the
Okay,
hell
well,
out of
highway ain't
there.
bad. I do that shit all the time. You just got caught.
No, it was bad for all of the traffic and the road work that they had going on.
Oh, you ain't hit the HOV lane? I just hit the HOV.
I couldn't. They had it blocked off for the damn track.
Oh shit!
You ain't listening to me. Like they had all listen from. All right, you know how it's normally about what is it? 1, 2, 3. You know how it's 4 lanes, right?
4 lanes.
All right, cool. The 2 lanes to the left was shut down.
Okay, all right.
Due to the
I
fucking
see.
traffic.
Yeah, it was a block ball.
Then on top of that, you know that they had it all the way, the whole fucking road damn near blocked off for them to only be doing work on this one little ass fucking section. So literally all of the cones was there and they're blocking off the road for a whole bunch of trucks that's just parked there doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's what they do. The fire truck would take up 3 lanes. You know what I'm saying? The next car would take up that extra lane. That's what they do.
You know, I'm the funny one. So when I realized that it was literally just a whole bunch of trucks just sitting there and they just wasting time, space, and opportunity, I started horning the fuck out of them. Like I'm like, yo,
they got a job to do. Yo, first responders.
But they could have waited.
Do your job, man. Please do your job, first responders.
Do your job and get the fuck out the way. Like, why is y'all out there this time of day when y'all could wait until after midnight? Y'all could wait. All of them bright ass lights y'all got down on the road trying to blind everybody.
It's a hard job being a first responder. I'm just gonna say that. It's a hard job.
I've been a first responder, so I understand that, but baby, they the reason that the first responders have to be out here. You got the traffic going at a stop and go, stop and go. That's why people keep on hitting each other shit. Especially down here. These motherfuckers can't drive.
I'm gonna tell
I can't
everybody
tell you
something.
listen.
Listen. Don't mess with kids, especially in the grocery store. If you got her Pop Tarts in your hand, she gonna get mad.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh God, you better just give her the Pop Tarts. Just give her the Pop Tarts.
Walk away. Smile and walk away. Don't say nothing.
Oh shit. May, let me get your sound off tonight, May.
Well, I just want to tell people that at the end of the day, you have to be yourself and you have to love yourself. So, again, I think that we put too much weight and emphasis on weird shit in society. And I think that people focus on the wrong things. When you wake up every day, you are given the choice to either be happy or unhappy, to either make your day the best it can be or allow it to spiral into an emotional conundrum, right? So again, the only thing we have control over in this world are our own actions and how we respond in any given situation. And the first thing that gives us power and strength to do that is to love and accept ourselves. So be the best that you could be and do great things and don't worry about what other people say.
That's right.
And that's my sound off for the evening.
Thank you. Can I add to your sound off right quick? All right. Well,
of course.
As she said, I gotta make sure, Kia, sometimes, sometimes I let people sound off just be they sound off. But what she said was so important. It's so important for diversity in society that it's ridiculous. Because I have an idea does not make me 100% right. You, on the other hand, can have me and challenge my idea, and then we can build something that is properly tight and brought together the right way. That's what happens when you bring a bunch of people in, scholars in, that actually oppose each other's thoughts and try to come up with a solution to the problem. That right there, May, you said it absolutely right. It was beautiful and it was right on time. As we wrap up tonight's episode, let's bring these facts to life. In addressing campus speech regulations, we walk a thin line between freedom of speech and the invisible barriers imposed by institutions. While we must acknowledge that free speech can sometimes be weaponized to propagate hate, it's essential to recognize that the emotions tied to our thoughts often lead to societal division. As a nation, we stagnate when we avoid tackling the real issues and fail to engage in meaningful dialogue. Universities should be places that challenge us to confront difficult topics, not shield us from them. Now, regarding artistic expression, I want to emphasize that art is inherently subjective. It can't be boxed into categories of what's deemed acceptable or offensive. Those who characterize art often lack the talent to create, and it's hypothetical for the talentless to judge the talented. When we allow a narrow view of art to dictate what is acceptable, we risk stifling creativity and innovation. Freedom in America is often portrayed as ideal, but for many, it's just a mirage. Let's challenge the status quo and advocate for the rights of artists to express without fear of oppression. Together, we can reclaim the narrative and ensure that all voices are heard. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Gag Order's in the building. Until next time, keep the conversation alive, keep questioning, and keep pushing for growth. Thank you, ladies, for hanging out with me tonight. I had a wonderful conversation with you guys as usual. And let's keep this fucking thing moving. You know what I'm saying?
We out here.
Yeah, we out here. We definitely out here. All right, so you guys have a wonderful evening, wonderful night, and don't forget, stay active, stay trying to educate yourself.